There's a Japanese proverb that's been around for centuries and has become very well known in the West as well. It says, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered down." For centuries, this phrase has been used as a warning, a way of saying, stay in your place, don't raise your head, don't try to be different. But this same proverb hides a truth that can completely change how you view criticism. What if every time someone criticized you, judged you, talked behind your back, that wasn't a sign that you were doing something wrong, but proof that you were doing something right? Criticism doesn't always mean we're going in the wrong direction. It can mean that the people around us are bothered by the fact that we're stepping out of our comfort zone and breaking out of the bubble that many prefer to remain trapped in. We'll delve deeper into this topic in today's video. Before we begin, I need to ask you something. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave me a comment answering this question. What was the most unfair criticism you've ever received? You can write it below. I try to read most of the comments, and then maybe your story will appear in a future video. Now let's get down to business. Chapter 1. The Nail and the Hammer. In feudal Japan, there was an unwritten rule, a rule that no one needed to say aloud because everyone already felt it firsthand. The rule was simple. Don't stand out. Don't speak too loudly. Don't walk differently. Don't think differently. Don't be different. It was in this context that the proverb was born, Deru wa utareru. The nail that sticks out is hammered. Think about it. Imagine a row of nails, all level, all the same. One of them starts to rise. Just a little. You can barely notice. But someone notices, and what happens? The hammer comes. The hammer. That was the logic of Japanese society. The harmony of the group called off. It was more important than any individual talent. If you stood out, you were seen as a threat. Not because you were wrong, but because your difference made others feel uncomfortable. However, this isn't just something from feudal Japan. It happens today. At your school, at your work, in your family, on your social media. Every time you try to do something different, the hammer appears. Only now the hammer has another name. Now it's called other people's opinions. Think about the last time you shared an idea and someone laughed. The last time you tried something new and heard, that's not going to work. The last time you made a decision that was yours and the people around you acted like it was their problem. This is the hammer, and it exists for one reason only: you stood out. Chapter 2. The Story of Cameron. To help you understand what I'm saying, let me tell you a story. The story of a guy named Cameron. Cameron was a 21-year-old young man. He lived in a small town in the American Midwest, the kind of town where everyone knows everyone, where news travels faster than the wind, and where anyone who tries to do something different becomes the topic of conversation at everyone's dinner table. Cameron grew up in a simple family. His father worked in a factory. His mother was a supermarket cashier. His friends were the same ones he'd had since childhood, and the plan everyone expected of him was the same old plan: finish high school, get a job in the city, get married, have children, and live a life like everyone else. But Cameron had something inside him that didn't fit into that plan. Since he was 15, he spent hours watching documentaries. He read books on psychology. He was fascinated by understanding how the human mind works. And at 19, he started writing short texts, reflections, loose ideas that he posted on an anonymous internet account. At first, nobody cared. The texts were invisible. But Cameron continued, and over time people started reading. Then they started commenting. Then they started sharing. And when Cameron decided he was going to turn it into a real project, that he was going to create content, invest in it, try to make a living from it, that's when the hammer fell. His father said, "That's not a real job." His mother said, "You're going to embarrass yourself." His friends started making jokes. One of them posted a screenshot of a text Cameron wrote in a group chat with the caption, "Look who's here, the philosopher." And then came the hardest moment. Cameron sat alone in his room, staring at his computer screen, and thought, maybe they're right. Maybe I should stop. If he had stopped there, this story wouldn't have been anything special. It would just be another person who gave up because the hammer hurt too much. But Cameron didn't stop. Chapter 3. The Invisible Weight of Other People's Opinions. Before continuing Cameron's story, I need to explain something to you. because what happened to him is not an exception. It's the rule. There is a psychological mechanism that operates almost automatically within any human group. Scientists call this social conformity, and the studies on it are frightening. In the 1950s, a psychologist named Solomon Asch conducted an experiment that became famous worldwide. He placed one person in a room with 7 others. He showed them 3 lines of different lengths and asked which one was the same as a reference line. The answer was obvious. Any child would have guessed correctly. But the other 7 people in the room were actors, and they all deliberately gave the wrong answer. What happened? In 75% of cases, the real person, the only one who wasn't an actor, agreed with the wrong answer. Not because they couldn't see the truth, but because the group pressure was too strong. Now think about this. If people lie about the length of a line just to avoid standing out from the group, imagine what they do when it comes to their own lives. How many people abandon dreams, silence opinions, hide talents, simply because the group around them doesn't approve? And here's the painful part. The people who criticize you the most aren't those above you. They're those on the same level, or below, because when you rise, you become a mirror, and the reflection others see isn't your success. It's their own failure, their own stagnation, their own cowardice in never having tried. Criticism, more often than not, isn't about you. It's about the person criticizing you. This is not just an opinion. The greatest thinkers in history already understood this dynamic. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and one of the great figures of Stoicism, wrote something that has transcended the centuries. He said that the best revenge against someone who wrongs you is simply not to become like that person. He ruled an entire empire, received criticism from all sides, faced betrayals, and yet he chose not to react with anger. Because he understood that the reaction to criticism says more about you than the criticism itself. Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman in Japanese history, experienced something similar. He won more than 60 duels. He never lost. And yet, he was despised by the samurai aristocracy. Why? Because he didn't follow the rules. He didn't dress as they expected. He didn't speak as they expected. He didn't live as they expected. And what did he do about it? He wrote a book, the Book of 5 Rings. And in that book, he left an idea that sums it all up. Don't follow the path of others. Find your own. Musashi didn't try to convince anyone. He didn't try to justify himself. He simply continued being who he was. And time did the rest. And in modern psychology, researcher Brené Brown, after decades studying vulnerability and courage, reached a similar conclusion. She observed that the most resilient people are not those who avoid criticism. They are those who have learned to separate the pain of criticism from the content of the criticism. These people feel the pain because they are human, but they don't let that pain define their choices. There's also a little-known fact. A study conducted by researchers at Harvard University analyzed the trajectories of innovative leaders in different fields. It found that the intensity of resistance a person faces at the beginning of a project is directly related to the impact that project will have in the future. In other words, the more criticism you receive at the start, the greater the chance that you are doing something that matters. The hammer doesn't fall on just any nail, it falls on the one that sticks out. Chapter 4. Cameron's Turning Point. Now let's go back to Cameron's story. Remember, he was in his room thinking about giving up? Well, Cameron didn't give up, but he also didn't pretend the criticism didn't hurt. It hurt. Every mean comment, every joke, every disdainful look, it all weighed on him. But he made a choice that changed his trajectory. He decided to use the criticism as fuel. Cameron started waking up earlier. He studied more, he wrote more. Each piece he published was better than the last, and he stopped posting anonymously. He used his name, his face, his voice. In the beginning, the numbers were small, few views, few comments. But Cameron wasn't looking at the numbers, he was looking at the process. He was focused on improving 1% each day. No rush, no shortcuts, no need for anyone's approval. And then the same people who laughed at him started paying attention, because consistency is impossible to ignore. When someone continues, day after day, doing what they believe in, even without applause, Even without support, the world around them begins to readjust. 6 months later, Cameron had a community. People who identified with his ideas. People who sent messages saying that one of his texts had changed the way they thought. A year later, he secured his first paid partnership. That was enough to prove that this was real. And his father? The same father who said that wasn't real work? One day, without saying anything, he shared one of Cameron's texts on his own profile. He just shared it. Cameron saw it and understood. The hammer hadn't disappeared. It was still there. But Cameron had climbed too high to reach it. Chapter 5, the second proverb. And this is where something almost no one knows comes in, because the Japanese proverb has a sequel, a second part. The full version reads, "The nail that sticks out gets hammered, but the nail that sticks out too much can't be hammered. Desugita kui wa utarenai." Read that sentence again. The nail that sticks out too much is out of the reach of the hammer. This means there's a phase, a transition, where criticism is more intense. It's the moment when you've already moved beyond the ordinary, but haven't yet reached the undeniable level. In this phase, everyone has an opinion about you. Everyone thinks they know what's best for you. Everyone wants to pull you back down to their level. But if you can endure this phase, if you persevere even when the hammer falls hardest, there comes a point where criticism loses its power. Because the results speak louder, because your consistency becomes an answer that no words can refute. Akio Morita, the founder of Sony, heard from investors that his idea for a portable radio was ridiculous. Soichiro Honda was rejected by Toyota before building his own company. Both were hammered. Both climbed too high to be reached. The harshest criticism comes precisely when you're closest to breaking through the barrier. It's as if the system is testing whether you truly deserve to be there. And most people give up at exactly that point, exactly when they were so close. But wait, there's a detail in this whole story that I haven't told you yet, and it's perhaps the most important one of all. There's a huge difference between being criticized by those in the stands and receiving feedback from those in the arena. Not all criticism is a hammer, some is a compass. The problem is that most people don't know how to differentiate. They react to everything the same way. They either shut down completely and ignore everything, or they absorb everything and destroy themselves from the inside. The middle ground, and the Japanese understood this very well, is learning to filter. It's about asking, has this person who is criticizing me ever done what I'm trying to do? Do they have the authority to speak on this, or are they simply projecting their own fear onto me? When you learn to ask that question, criticism becomes a tool. The hammer in the right hands doesn't destroy, it sculpts. And there's a Japanese concept that perfectly complements all of this. It's called Kintsugi. I know most of you are already familiar with this concept, but there might be someone new to the channel hearing about it for the first time. Kintsugi is the art of repairing broken ceramics with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, the Japanese fill them with liquid gold, because they believe that a broken and repaired piece is more beautiful than a piece that never broke. Every criticism you've received and survived is a crack filled with gold. Every time the hammer fell and you remained standing, you became stronger, rarer, more valuable. Scars are nothing to be ashamed of. They are proof of resilience. So to summarize what we talked about today, the proverb Deru kui wa utareru, the nail that sticks out gets hammered down. It's not a warning to shrink. It's a description of what happens when you dare to be different. And understanding that changes everything. Criticism, more often than not, isn't about you. It's about the discomfort your courage causes in those who lack the courage to do the same. It's projection. It's fear of others disguised as opinion. There's a transitional phase between the ordinary and the undeniable, where the hammer falls with the most force. Most people give up at this stage, but those who make it through remain out of reach. Not all criticism is a hammer. Some are compasses. Learning to filter is a skill that separates those who grow from those who only react. And lastly, every mark that criticism has left on you is not a flaw. It's gold. It's Kintsugi. It proves you were in the arena while the others were in the stands. Cameron, that 21-year-old kid from a small town, understood this. He wasn't born special. He had no connections, he had no money, he had no support. He only had one thing, the refusal to conform. And if you're here, watching this video until the end, I believe you have the same thing inside you. That voice that tells you that you can do more, that you deserve more, that there's something beyond what others expect of you. So the next time someone criticizes you, don't react. Don't justify yourself, don't belittle yourself, just remember this proverb. Remember that the hammer only falls on the nail that stuck out. So ask yourself, do I want to be the nail that never went up? Or do I want to be the one that went up so high that the hammer can't reach it anymore? Think about it. If this video resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Because maybe that person is being hammered right now, and maybe this video is exactly what they need to keep going. I also invite you to watch one of these videos that are appearing on your screen. Thank you so much for all your support, and remember, be present, walk with honor, follow the path.